What's up, guys? So you're looking to learn how to paint 3D printed props. As you can see, I've had quite the experience. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you exactly how to do that. Let's get to it. So as the saying goes, there are different strokes for different folks. But in this one, we're talking about paint strokes. So maybe you want to learn, hey, how do I make a 3D print tell a story? Or how do I get a good metallic look on one of my prints? Or maybe even, how can I get something to look battle damaged? I'll be going over all three of those methods and more, so let's get to it. Now, whether you're a pro, intermediate, or a beginner, these three applications are gonna primarily be your go-to. They're very easy to find, they come in multiple different colors, and they work within the budget. So of course, the first one being spray paint, which again, you can find in many different colors. Many different brands give you different kinds of effects. We've all had arts and crafts, so we've all used some type of acrylic paint. And one of my new favorites is graphite powder. La 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 la. All right, I can hear it in the comments already. I know a lot of you guys are probably jumping out of your seats saying, hey, he's not talking about airbrushing or vinyl wrap or this or that or this. Again, these are the three basic methods that you can use that are very affordable, that if you're just getting into this or if you're in the intermediate stage, that you can buy them pretty cheaply. So these are the three methods that I'm going to be discussing. Now, obviously, before getting into any kind of paints, you want to definitely make sure that before you get into that stage, that of course you sand down your print and of course prime. So I'm not going to get too much into that stuff. For more of the sanding and how to sand rough prints, check out this video here where I break that down for you. But the first method that I'm going to go over is going to be graphite powder, because I feel like it's one of the easier kind of things to achieve. It gives a great metallic look. Like me, I've thrown out all my metallic spray paints and I've strictly stuck with this metallic this graphite powder, and achieving that or getting that kind of look, it pays off a lot more than the rattle cans ever will in my experience. And just to give you an example of that, this is a rattle can and this is the graphite powder. So you can kind of see what I'm saying. So besides the obvious of just taking a long amount of times and hand cramps of actually sanding down the prop, there are two main things that you want to focus on when using graphite powder. And the first thing is getting a very good reflective gloss black coat. And two, understanding when the gloss black is at like the perfect texture to actually apply the graphite powder and what to use to apply the graphite powder. So let's get into this video here where I was actually making the cyborg helmet so I can show you exactly how I achieved it. Let's go. Basically all I'm doing, you can see like a little bit of the shine of the graphite powder now. Just basically adding a little bit and just rubbing it in with like a little bit of the cloth. Getting a good fair amount of it on there. And then once I got it on there, just gonna rub it in. Now, of course, some does fall off. This does take more than once for you to do. And this does take a lot of time. There are different things that you can use instead of this like type of sponge. As you can see, I got like all different types of sponges, napkins, so on and so forth. We're just showing you some of the different options that you have. Okay, so as I speak, this is just another prop that I'm working on where I've used graphite powder as well. This is going to be the Nanotech Iron Man arc reactor that I have coming up. Again, the two main things that you want to focus on is mainly one, the reflectiveness of your gloss black paint, and two, understanding your graphite powder. Now with these props, some people say that they add the graphite powder when the gloss black is still a little tacky. Me, this prop was sitting around for about a week or two with the gloss black and it still was able to give that metallic kind of look. So just understand what kind of graphite powder that you're using, and as always, just test it out on different props before you actually get into the actual stage. But again, it's all about timing and what you're using to apply as well. You've seen in both videos that I use the same kind of sponge. Again, you can use a waxing kind of sponge or a napkin, anything that you can kind of get your hands on will definitely work with applying it. But it's a very simple and reliable way to get that metallic kind of look. Again, if there's anything that I can tell you to plug into your process when using this stuff, it's again, get a really good gloss black, a really good reflective color, and then from there finding out what sponge or what tackiness that your gloss black has to be to get the best results. Okay, so to sound basically like a broken record, the main thing again that you guys want to focus on, or say it with me, making sure that you have a good gloss black undercoat, and then two, understanding how your graphite powder will react to that undercoat. So whether or not you need to keep it in more of a tackier stage, or like me with my arc reactor, where you can let it sit and still apply from there. Okay, and next up is gonna be the good old handy dandy rattle can. And if you're looking at me right now, I think you could pretty much tell where I'm gonna be going. Read the can. That's one of the first steps that I can tell you with using the rattle can. That's gonna help you out a lot, because sometimes the can is gonna have like a certain direction. Like when I made my Green Goblin helmet, boop, like that video here, you'll see that I used this two-tone pretty much peel coat. And if you've ever seen like Need for Speed games, or if you've ever seen Fast and the Furious, you've seen cars where they have like that purplish kind of greenish look to it. And there's a certain way to achieve that. Now, if I didn't read the can, I could have messed up a lot. But even the Iron Man red that I use for these gloves like this here, you'll see in the video that I basically painted it almost 3 times until I finally read the can to figure out exactly what to do. So it was a small little note in the directions that said, hey, before you spray this red, make sure that you use a metal kind of undercoat so that way you get the best effects. So you'll see in the video, which I'll show next, that I had them black first and I sprayed it with the red and I couldn't see any of the red. I was freaking out. I was like, what the heck is going on? Did I just waste my money buying this can? Lo and behold, it was me not being a wise guy and reading the can, because once I read the can, I seen that it said, hey, spray a metal coat first before you do this. So the can directions give you a lot of steps. They pretty much tell you exactly how to use this, how to store it, so that way nothing happens, that your colors don't fade as you're storing them, pretty much how much to shake them to activate the color, and what temperature to store them at as well. So without further ado, let's get into the next video to show you exactly how I use rattle cans. Okay, so you can see, obviously through the video, I didn't record myself actually using the red on the gloss black, because I had figured out as I was recording what I had to do. But this is just a good example of showing you, hey, read the can, because it's going to tell you a lot of good information. Now, again, after I read the information, I was able to, as you can see, get a good color, base color of the silver, and then get that good color of the red. That's the next thing that I want to bring to you guys' attention when using rattle can, is understanding undercoats. Each type of paint that you're trying to get, as far as the top coat, is going to be more reflective, or it's going to show a lot better depending on what you use under it. So if I'm looking for any kind of metallic overcoat, so if it's going to be a silver or a gold, or then from there I'm going to put a very good reflective gloss black under that, so that way that color is accentuated from that. Now, one color that you're going to probably use in your lifetime, and it's going to make you pull your hair out, is going to be yellow. I use yellow on my keyblade, and I use yellow on my Wolverine cowl. Trust me, when you get to using that color, you're going to pull your hair out, and believe me, it's not just you. But undercoats are very important, because again, they accentuate the top coat that you're trying to get. So again, if I'm trying to get a metallic, I'm going to use a gloss black. But let's say if I'm spray painting something and it's not coming out as bright or as dark as I want it to, I can then use a different color undercoat, maybe a black or a white, under my initial coat. So that way, of course, in the case of the white, the overcoat is going to come out a lot brighter. And in the case where I'm looking to darken something, I'm going to use a flat black or a gloss black, so that way, again, it dims the color. Okay, so just a rehash and to add, again, when you're using spray cans, 3 things that you want to focus on is going to be 1, read the can, because again, it's going to save you a lot of time, it's going to save you a lot of wasted effort, and it's going to save you a lot of wasted spraying. Step 2, understanding the undercoat, understanding what kind of coat that you want to put under your primary paint, so that way, A, it either gives it a reflective color, or B, it either dims or brightens the actual color that you're trying to achieve. And then 3 kind of just comes back to reading the can, understanding the cure time, understanding how much time to give that paint to sit before you actually add another coat, because what you don't want to do is add another coat while it's still drying, and then you start to get like a droopy kind of effect or a runoff effect. So again, reading the can is going to tell you how much cure time you should actually leave or have in between adding another coat, and 2, how far you should be spraying from the nozzle to the actual print itself. So that way, again, you prevent any runoff or any dripping that's going to ruin the paint and bring you back to step 1, which is sanding again. And last but not least, acrylic paints. Now these when I first started, as you can see, acrylic paints what I use to pretty much paint everything. Not only my smaller props, but some of the bigger things that I was trying out as well. I didn't really like it as much. So now what I use them for is basically to tell a story. And if you watch a lot of my videos, like this one here, The Batman Who Laughs, mainly what I'm trying to do when I use acrylic paints is just like I said, tell a story. So whether that story be showing something a little bit more weathered, so to get like a weathered kind of look, or to get something to look like a little gross or foul, or even to take off the shine of some kind of metals. It's what I use acrylic paints for. It's not, again, what I use to paint a whole prop, because I don't feel like it gives the best kind of look or overall look, but it's something that I use to either weather a prop or to make something look pretty nasty. So like I was mentioning, this is when I used that god-awful yellow, but this was, again, the second time that I used it, because the first time I did was with the Sora Keyblade that I made. I don't think I made a full video of that one. That was one of the first helmets that, one of the first prints that I made. But this is kind of showing you how I used silver to pretty much give this like a battle damage kind of look. So basically what I was doing was just anywhere, like again, you got to think of how this would be damaged. So it's Wolverine. Who are the people that he's going to be like actually getting into combat with? It's most likely going to be Sabretooth. He's not getting a hand on Magneto, anybody like that. So somebody like Sabretooth is going to give him more like slices and gashes and things like that. So that's kind of primarily what I want to portray within the helmet. So you have to first think of how this helmet or how this prop is going to be damaged or weathered. Or another way that I could have done this was, again, going back to undercoat. So what I could have did was spray painted this silver as the undercoat, and then just started to use like an X-Acto knife to cut off small pieces, so that way that silver gets exposed again. And that again is what you want to think when you're battle damaging something. So it might not always be silver. There might be some reds, some blacks, some browns, some different kind of color, but that's basically what you want to focus on. Now another thing that you can do, which is what you see here, is going to be weathering something. So how do I make something pretty much look like old, worn down, like it's been used or thrown around a lot? And a lot of that's going to be done with like an acrylic black paint. And as you can see, I'm doing this with a very damp, a very loose acrylic paint. So I'm using like a lot of water with this, so that way the print or the paint can still move around. And yeah, just all the hard work that you put into it, just get ready to throw it all away, because you're going to get pretty dirty, pretty nasty with this stuff. But with this, you can get very creative with it. Again, most of it is going to be with the black, putting some kind of black with a lot of water and rubbing your hands all over this. But again, you're weathering it. Get creative. If it's raining outside and there's some mud, throw that print in the mud. If you have like a real dusty part of your house, put some water on the print and throw it in those dusty areas. Get creative. Again, you put a lot of hard work into the print. The first time you do this, I promise you, it's gonna break your heart to think that I just sanded this down so good, got this a perfect reflective or a nice color, and now I pretty much gotta weather it. So don't get too hurt about that part. Again, when you first do it, you're gonna feel that resentment towards it. But again, this is why I always keep my old wasted props. So anything that was like a failure or anything like that, so I'll keep those just to pretty much have something where I can test this out on. That way I know when I actually put it on the actual prop that or print that it's not gonna totally destroy it. But basically that's what you're doing, is pretty much destroying it. So when it comes to painting your props, again, really think about what you're trying to achieve and what you're trying to tell as far as the story, depending on what you're actually making. Get creative. There are definitely different industries that use paint, so definitely use them as references, because you may find that somebody else may not use a rattle can, but you might find a different kind of application, just like how I did with the graphite powder. So definitely get creative and look outside of your space, so that way you can find something new to add into the process. Use Google to the best of your advantage. because they do have a lot of reference images, what I like to use is screen used prop or screen used helmet. So that way I get the closest accurate color to actually what I'm trying to achieve. And in telling a story, make sure it actually follows the actual character history. Just like I mentioned with Wolverine, again, he's not getting bullet wounds or anything like that. Think of actually the story that it's going to tell and what he actually goes through to actually portray that to the screen as well. There's spray paint, there's airbrushing, there's gold leaf, there's acrylic paints, there's tons of different things. So I hope this video at least gave you guys a basis of what to use and how to use. So if you like this video, definitely hit the like button. Leave a comment below so that way I know if there's any other questions that you guys have as far as 3D printing, painting, or any other questions, printer assembly, anything like that. Leave a comment. That way I can make a new video and explain exactly how to use those processes or how I use those processes. And don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for what's coming next. Besides that, it's BZ Comics. I'm out. Usually I have something to say in the ending, but not much this time because I'm not building anything. Peace.